we're good to get going. Gage, you go to the next one. Thank you. So if you're new, is this your first meeting? You go to ucontact.com and find SBA and register as a member. That would be great. We really appreciate that. A great thing to be a part of. Awesome to have on your resume. We have great people coming in, as you'll see tonight. You can also follow us on Instagram and on social media. Twitter, we're all very accessible. If you see us on social media, DM us. Feel free to do so. Really awesome way to stay connected. We're good to try to have some material for you throughout the rest of the month and maybe a little bit in the break. So it'd be good to stay engaged. After this, we have we have our happy hour. Next week is going to be a really, really awesome opportunity to meet with some SBA alums who are all doing great things after college, and we'll share their experience with SBA. It's going to be a very interactive environment, so if you're going to join, please have your cameras on and have questions prepared. It's going to be really awesome and a cool experience we hope to keep doing in the future. So sign up for that. RSVPs for that will go out tomorrow, and it'll be good to see everyone there. And I think we talked a little bit about this last week. Ty, our vice president, has an awesome podcast with a wide variety of topics being talked about. Really great discussion. It's on Spotify and Apple. Take a look at that. Highly recommend it. And so tonight we had the honor of Catherine Zuppani joining us. She's the assistant AD for athletic events, event manager for basketball, football, and baseball, and also does a lot with day-to-day facilities. So we are honored to have her with us. Thanks for having us or joining us, Kat.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate you.
How are things going in today's virtual world for you?
Just as wild as you guys. How are you guys doing? This is different for everybody on campus as well, as much as us. So it's been a wild one.
We're trucking along. So how has, COVID really affected, UConn athletics? Obviously, there's no football season and all fall sports are postponed. But how has your day-to-day changed?
Yeah, so our day-to-day, obviously working with the state and the university, making sure we're adhering to all of our health and safety guidelines, social distancing. Obviously, our facilities have been super limited in regards to who's in and out. But our teams are still training. We're still trying to get better, and it's just been different with no events on the weekends, but they're still kind of cranking it out during the day, and we're here to support them. But, hand sanitizers everywhere. We have arrows on the floor directing kind of which way in the hall to go. Again, just kind of social distancing and making sure everybody's doing it the safest way possible. And masks outside. Training is looking a little different inside and outside. Gloves, and I'm sure you guys have seen posts and everything online. So, yeah, it's definitely been a different look, but still trying to improve and get better. Still have some seasons coming up, so hopefully that'll turn out.
Right, awesome. So obviously basketball season is coming up. So how has preparations been going you in terms of that? I know yesterday we saw that there won't be fans for at least the beginning duration of the season. So can you talk about what kind of went into that decision?
Yeah, so we've obviously, again, working with the state, and obviously we're athletics, but, we're still under the university umbrella and still have to adhere to what everybody else is doing in the state. So just working with our reps, they've been awesome. Just going back and forth. We submitted a reopening plan, kind of like, everybody else in the state has. So kind of following along that. But again, just working with them closely and figuring out how to get basketball going in the safest way. Obviously, you guys saw the announcement yesterday. Everybody's disappointed, but that's just the world we're living in right now. And hopefully the guys and the women can get on the court and play and do it in the safest way with their friends and family and just super essential working staff in the building.
Right. So in terms of, I know you see a lot of other conferences and teams playing right now, and it seems that some schools have kind of figured out a decent strategy how to make it work, and some haven't been as successful. So in your opinion, what do you think is the best kind of way forward? Say UConn football were playing the season, like in your mind, what would be the best way to kind of minimize any potential, exposure to COVID?
Yeah, I think the most successful teams, obviously it's sometimes going to happen, but our athletes and everyone in the country is doing their absolute best to, follow the rules and make the best decisions that they can. And, that's what our guys have been doing every day. I mean, they're in their pods and practicing, and, obviously some don't have access to their locker rooms, but, they're making do. And, I keep telling everybody, look, we're making lemonade. This isn't necessarily the prettiest of semesters, but I think everybody is just trying to do the best that they can. And, it's sometimes the inevitable happens and you just kind of pivot and roll with it and then fix what you need to fix and adjust from there, which is, what we're going to do with basketball. And, one thing doesn't work, kind of just, again, roll with it, pivot, and make adjustments along the way. And that's kind of what we do. That's what everybody's doing right now.
Right. And it's kind of came at a kind of weird time, being that we're back in the Big East and now we can't really get the chance to fully enjoy that. So how has that experience been? Because I know everyone is still really excited about the conference switch. Obviously we can't enjoy it together, but how has that experience been for you so far?
Yeah, everybody's been fired up. I mean, obviously it's not ideal that, right this second we can't have 10,000 people. I know you guys are just as excited, and the students, I mean, you guys are the best part, right? And the fans in the section and cheering loud and getting everybody rowdy. But, that's just not where we are right now until we are. The teams are looking great. They're still getting after it and working really hard. Hopefully we play and, again, do it in the safest way. But, everybody's still really excited. There's a great buzz around, and unfortunately right now we just can't pack the stadiums, but we're in a good spot.
Right.
So you guys just keep cheering us from your dorms or wherever off campus on break, and we'll hear you from afar. I can tell you that. You guys are still loud.
We're going to try to be. So speaking of dorms, I live in Hilltop Apartments. So every day I drive by, Husky Athletic Village being built and, seeing that come to fruition. So what's your opinion on that? And, I know you're pretty excited about that as well.
Yeah, so that's just going to be a game changer for our programs. I mean, I've been really lucky and fortunate to be a part of the project. And, when I got here, it's, some of our fields, and you guys know, they were kind of high school-esque, and we have super successful programs, and now they can have something to show for it, and right. Down the hill, it's kind of village, you're seeing that more and more around the country is, you can go train, study, work out, go to the training room, get rehab, watch film, be in a team meeting all in one building. So it's really going to be something special down there. Baseball, we missed it by probably a week and a half. They were on the road and we never opened up, but it's been fun to see them out there. I mean, this project has been so ongoing, and I just walk by and it's awesome to see people out at soccer and practicing and training. And again, it looks a little different, but it's been good to have those guys out, and they just rolled the new rec turf down there. It's down. It's awesome. And then softball's next. So hopefully before Thanksgiving, the ladies, and we'll go out there and see their new field and have something excited to look forward to when they get back from break.
Right. Awesome. It's been a really cool project just to see. And, going on, rewind a little bit, can you talk about how you got to UConn and how you kind of really, got in this industry and what kind of excites you about it?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's fun, right? We work with coaches and student athletes, and that's, why we're here. And we get to work with a lot of you, which is just fun. But yeah, so I actually didn't even go to UConn. So I went to High Point University in North Carolina. I studied sport management and minored in business admin. I graduated in 12. And I knew I really I was actually originally a communications major. And then some of my classes were kind of like, this is more like towards media. So I actually switched, and that's where it kind of wasn't booming just yet. I was like, that'd be cool. So got involved in the High Point's in the Big South, and obviously great conference, but Wake Forest was 25 minutes up the road. So I went there one weekend, and I was like, I'll do anything. So I got in their event ops department, just volunteering as a student my junior year of college, and they invited me back my senior year as a student, and then invited me for a third season post-grad, unpaid. Yes, y'all heard that. Unpaid for a year. They don't have those anymore, thank goodness. But yeah, I did that for 3 seasons and worked really close with their event ops department. And kind of similar to you guys, hey, you really want to get into this, you got to get your master's, kind of like get on your wall, right? Get that experience, be in this pile instead of that pile. So went to the University of Florida. I was a graduate assistant in their ops and facilities department. Got a ton of experience. Would recommend being a GA anywhere. I mean, obviously now times are tough and we all know that, but if you guys have the opportunity, and anybody coming up after you guys certainly, but got super awesome experience with Florida, worked with all their teams, internal, external events, travel postseason. It was just an absolute blast. And then got my first full-time job at Auburn. So I was a coordinator of athletic events at Auburn. And I did that for 2 years. And then got the call and was like, hey, come up to UConn, and got here in May 2017, came in as the director of event management. And then we had some personnel leave and things kind of shifted around and restructured. So in 2019 in August, I got promoted to assistant athletic director of athletic events and facilities, and currently oversee all of our internal operations for the department. So anything daily operational. So I'm over all of our game operations, postseason championships, as well as facilities. So anything scheduling, internal, external events, and then heavily involved in our capital projects, work orders, graphic enhancements, special projects we're putting up some new graphics in the women's basketball side of the Worth facility. So just wear a lot of hats and super involved around campus. And so it's been a blast. You guys working on a college campus keeps you young, get to stand in line at Starbucks and go to the Union. Again, everything looks a little different this semester, but so I'm going into my 4th year, and yeah, UConn's been awesome.
That's great. So it sounds like if you had to give some advice, it really would be about being open to opportunities based on kind of your path.
Yeah, for sure. And just getting involved, right? So everybody's kind of like, well, I don't want to do that, or I don't want to maybe do that, but you never know who you're going to meet. Athletics is so small. I mean, you could fit everybody who knows everybody at a different school on a Post-it. I mean, everyone is connected. And I've certainly been a couple places, but I mean, there's a ton of staff here that's been here, their whole career, and they're well-versed and, know a ton of people around. So just being open to just really doing anything and getting your foot in the door is just super important. Again, I worked for free for a year. I worked at the tennis center at night just to make money and pay my rent. It's, again, sometimes people are like, I'm too good for that, or there's no way I would do that. But you never know like who you'll meet along the way or get involved in. So that would be my huge advice, is just kind of go for it. Take that leap.
So can you talk about some of the opportunities, kind of in normal times that could be available to students, that are trying to get involved and trying to, get things on their resume?
Yeah, sure. So we have special payroll positions. We have our department so we do 2 semester interns and then 2 year interns. Okay. So, which is great for us. One, you could put a year on your resume. Usually the people that we asked to do the year were either a student before us, which I'll talk in a second, or had been around and kind of we noticed, be like, hey, you're doing a great job, or, who's signing up for the shifts in the rain for field hockey on a Friday night? Is that ideal? No, but, we kind of look for that too. It's easy to go to a basketball game and be in a men's game and just kind of like hang out, right? So, who's working the soccer game and throwing them balls and, helping us out and doing kind of the nitty gritty. But every semester we have 2 new interns. And then, like I said, for the whole year, we have 2 people. So you're really learning the fall and the spring. Basketball is obviously a huge one. But you're working with all the teams, and we really throw you in. And like anything, guys, like it's what you get out of it is what you put into it, right? So if you're super involved and want to be at everything and learn a lot, then again, that's kind of all part of it and what I would recommend. But I mean, it's within every department. We have students, like we have facility students on a normal day that work every day, help us kind of maintain some of our facilities or help with projects. And again, depending how involved or you want to be, we, help you out, or, hey, like, come follow us around for a game on like the back end of it. So again, we help you out. And if you think ops is like, like we've had ops students, and I do this with all of our interns and students, like, all right, just let me know and go, throw t-shirts into a crowd and see what marketing does. Like, it's just important to find out what you don't like, as, everybody tries to figure out their one pinhole, and it's like, just try a little bit of everything, and then you decide like, hey, I like that. Ooh, I don't want to do that. So you kind of know like what you like and don't like, which is key as well.
Right. So you talked about you were at Auburn, not temporarily, for a period of time.
2 years, yeah.
So can you kind of explain, the SEC environment, it has that kind of mystique around it, and, coming up to UConn, which is a big sports school. Can you kind of, compare and contrast those 2 experiences?
Yeah, it's just different. I mean, Auburn, I was heavily involved with football. Obviously football there are all on campus, so that's kind of a difference as well. We play football off campus, and Rentschler and Comcast Spectre kind of runs our games from a event management perspective. So, they hire the security and they do a lot of the game ops. We're there more for our team, visiting team officials, kind of more like the meat potatoes, but they really kind of run game day, where at Auburn, I'm in the booth with all the fire police and, 90,000 people and just organizing game day, which is just wild. I mean, in those games, 90,000 people, but there's 100,000 people like on campus or just around town for the games. Like, it's just a different vibe. But up here, it's just different. I mean, we play hockey off campus and some basketballs off campus. So, and again, you guys are great. You guys travel to Excel and come to Rensselaer and do all that, but it's just kind of different in that regard. And some of our things off campus versus, football being plopped right in the middle of the heart of campus. So that's definitely a difference.
Right. Yeah. And it's always, more challenging. I know from my years, being a part of the football program, one of the things I noticed was how many people it takes, to put on a game, be in the locker room and have practice going. So can you kind of just talk about, it is a full circle effort in terms of making events run and just having everything go as planned. Yeah,
for sure. No, it takes a village. Everybody kind of just walks in, the lights are on, and it just works, right? Even the teams kind of come in and the benches are set. And so what a lot of we do is just behind the scenes for ops facilities. It's, game day is almost the easy part. We just put out fires. Like, we just kind of pivot, run around. Hey, this changed or that changed, or this happened, or hey, that mag went down and needs a charge, or, like that's kind of the stuff. It's all the behind the scenes stuff that not a lot of people, it's just so much coordination with, campus, other departments, everything kind of has to flow. And, I kind of say, like, we're kind of like the glue and make sure everybody's in, what they're trying to do. And if they need help or access or keys or, what's going on the floor, all the promotions, like they plan all that, but you kind of like, can you do this? Can you do that? No, that can't be on the floor. Like, so we all work together and kind of collaborate what a game day really looks like. And then once the doors open, it's kind of just like, all right, what do we need to fix, or what happens, or there's water on the floor, or, things that you just can't plan for.
Right.
So it's just a lot of coordination, traffic. Parking garages, we work with LAS. Every facet of a game day down to how coaches walking in the door is already predetermined. And obviously we work really close with our teams, and obviously those needs can change on a game day, but yeah, it just really it's just a huge group effort. So no one can do it without each other. So if anybody says they can, that's not true. No one can do it by themselves.
So what's right now that there's COVID, there's not a lot of events right now. So where do you say your main focus is, right now going forward into Big East play in about a month or so?
Yeah, so just now that we've kind of got some feedback from the state, just what is Gamble going to look like, and the regulations at the NCAA came out. So Big East, their ops manual should be out soon. There's always like a basketball game day operations manual. What can we do? How many now in COVID, how many feet do people have to be apart? They're tiering it, tier 1, 2, 3. Who's in those tiers? Where can they be? So coordinating back of house, who's in the back of house, who can be back there, who can't, from a security perspective, where do we want them? How are people accessing the building in all different spaces, indoors more than normal? With friends and family, do we need all 4 entrances open? Probably not, but all the groups we're going to have to be super strategic who's where, right? So we want to keep our program and the visiting team, which is just as important. Everyone always thinks about our team, right? So how is Creighton, or whoever coming in the building, that's equally as important. So are we taking temps, or how are we logging that? If friends and family are waiting for tickets and box office, we're putting down stickers from university of maintain those 6 feet, like everywhere you see around classrooms. And so now we kind of we plexiglass concessions, we did the media tables and had dividers. So it's gonna look different. So now that we have that kind of feedback, how are we gonna do it in the safest way possible, and what is that gonna look like? Are the bleachers pushed in on the side? So we're just all internally kind of going through that now, in preparation for our teams. But
right, so I'm gonna open
it's been different.
Yeah, it sounds like it's been different. And another thing I want to ask, you talked about how each conference kind of has their own operations manual. So do you anticipate any, significant changes going from the AAC to the Big East, or are you kind of standard across the board?
No, yeah, a lot of the conferences they follow NCAA, so their main guidelines kind of came out maybe 2.5 weeks ago. So we've kind of been running on that, but obviously each conference has their little tweaks. But being back in the Big East, it's been fun, and for us personally and for me personally, I haven't worked with any of the Big East staff, right? So now we have an ops call that we do and talk about everything going on and how's Butler doing it, and trying to stay consistent of, when we go to Butler or wherever, what does that look like? And if they come here, what does that look like? So we want to try to, again, maintain the same expectation and just make sure everybody's good on the road and at home and doing it the safe way possible. So that's been kind of the challenge. And because every facility is different. So
Right.
Gamble, we have bleachers that can be pushed in, some of the other facilities, it is what it is. So how close to the court, if it's 12 feet, you can't sit as close, Nebraska and Creighton, they're kind of wide open. So every state's different too. So that's kind of like a caveat to all this. So it's been a cool experience. I mean, it's been wild, but it's been cool. You kind of just roll with it, and you work at the state and other schools. And again, it's been extremely hard and difficult on everyone, but you just pivot. And like I said, we're making lemonade. So hopefully we can play, and we'll go from there.
Right. Sounds like the best we can do. So I'm going to open up the questions. I know we have a few members with some questions.
Definitely.
See them shoot in the chat, and we'll go from there.
Doug, I'll hop in real quick. I know we're grabbing some chat questions, or if other people want to actually open up their mics and talk. But so, Kat, you kind of talked about, main responsibility game days. You're just running around putting out fires, and it sounds like you actually kind of enjoy that part of your job. And to me, that sounds like utterly horrifying. I know I'm not cut out for ops. That's just not where I would belong. So I'm kind of curious, what's maybe a part of your job you just don't like, or something that you wish you could change, or is there anything?
Something I don't like. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just like the uncontrollable. I mean, like, we're the ones with the FBI earpieces walking around and, coordinating everything on the inside. And we might look calm sitting at the scores table, but it's like the guy on fire is running around inside. We're just good at putting on a face. But, yeah, I mean, it's fun. I mean, it's just kind of on your toes. You're kind of running around, thinking quick on your feet. I mean, like anything, it's kind of just, you kind of roll with it. I mean, and some things you just can't control, and everyone looks at you like, sometimes I can control the weather, right? It's like, why am I in a rain delay? Like, coach, I don't know. Like, I can't help you. But so some of that gets a little, frustrating. It's like the uncontrollables that there's nothing you can do, which is frustrating because you try to put on the best event, and then you're just sitting there, you're like, there's literally nothing I can do. So sometimes that's frustrating. But yeah, I mean, everything changes or can change in 30 seconds. And you guys have been seeing it on campus and all around here. So it's, you just kind of take it with a grain of salt and just do the best you can. But yeah, we run around, or the students are in line and y'all are trying to bust down the door, and we're trying to, get you through the metal detectors, and you're all excited and you're like, all right, guys. Like, so it just takes a lot of coordination, but it's fun. At the end of the day, we're working with coaches and student athletes on a campus, so it's not that bad. Just put it in perspective.
I'm on mute, sorry. Yeah, one question from the chat.
Yeah.
Do you see it? How can students apply to the positions you mentioned?
Yeah, so on our website, I know marketing, like our marketing department, like tweets it out. I know we've tweeted it out, and I think you guys have actually helped like retweet it at some point. But there's always like an application, and we go through the campus portal as well. So it'll be like a facility event, like student worker position, or now that's just for like an everyday shift. Again, normal day, we have shifts every day where students, I think they're like 4-hour shifts, and there's a break from 12 to 1 for lunch. And then obviously depending on your class schedule, all events at night. So our facility guys like help up, like set up all the entrances, and, they're the ones at volleyball doing the courts during break and at basketball. So depending what you're looking for, but across the board, it's usually online, or just check our UConnHuskies.com website and just like our social media handles. We always tweet something out with a link to the job. So that's just a student job or an internship. I know you guys all have to do an internship. So again, we love to help out the sport management program. So you guys can get involved that way.
Awesome. We'll make sure to get those links out.
Yeah. Are you satisfied with the pay? Yeah, so sports, right? So everybody wants to work in sports and you're like, okay, do you know what that means? I mean, you got to love it. It's not, broker pay, but it's a lot of hours and commitment. And if you love it, you just grind. I know in the beginning it's tough. I mean, this is like my 10th year in. So you got to commit to anything. I mean, no matter what you do. I mean, I love what I do. And yeah, the hours are crazy and it's event based. So, and we do everything daily. So even though we're at a basketball game at Excel until 11, baseball and softball, they're still in at 8 a.m. the next day looking to train and practice, and they're still going. So we're still going, so I think anything to answer that, you just got to grind no matter what. And you got to love it because it's a lot. But yeah, obviously pay comes with it. Later, athletics is sometimes a thankless, ops is sometimes thankless, but again, no matter what, you gotta love it. But I hope that answers your question, Megana. Good question. Yes, thank you. Perfect.
Yeah, so a question that just came to mind for me is, I know UConn kind of made a decision on fans yesterday. So is that going to be across the conference kind of rule, or is that still kind of up in the air?
Yeah, so it's depending on the state. So it's governor and state official. So it's not like a Big East mandate. So where our state is right now, like our state officials help make some of those decisions. So like I said, like Nebraska is different and may have a different capacity or percentage of indoor venues versus outdoor venues. Like I know for their football games, they might be, close to capacity, which is, it's wide open. So it's not necessarily a conference thing. Some of the operational, just game day ops, like how teams are coming, going, bringing what equipment kind of thing, that would be a conference. But in terms of fans, no fans, that's all state. So you might watch a game, Creighton Butler, and that might look way different than our just friends and family. So it's just all state.
How are coaches across the conference taking that? Because I can see a little bit of a maybe competitive imbalance brewing a little bit there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think people just want to play. I think at the end of the day, like sometimes you just can't worry about all the stuff that you're used to worrying about. And right now priority is like, do we want to play ball? Do we want to play hockey? Do we want to get this off the ground? So it's just going to look different. And that's what we keep telling everybody. And I think as soon as you're kind of over that frustrating hump of everything that's not going to be the same, let's just get on the court and play, and we'll worry about how people are getting in and what it looks like. But it's been, I mean, everybody wants sports back, right? But how can we, again, do it the safest way? So.
Right. Do you have anybody else want to shoot any questions into the chat or open up their mic?
So I think the question is getting a position right now, or I think they can unmute themselves, right?
Yeah, they can. They should.
Yeah, so right now I'm like a sophomore, so I also have to apply to NEAG. So I noticed like a lot of people who are in pre-sport management are taking similar positions, or like they're in the similar like organizations and stuff. So how do we like stand out from the rest of them?
Yeah, so like I said, just get involved. Right now it's hard. I think everyone's going to be in the same position, so I wouldn't worry about like getting behind or, oh my gosh, this whole year is like wasted. Like obviously if stuff like this, like being on tonight's a great way to get involved, or any other things that campus is offering. It's just not, unfortunately right now we're just limiting who's like in and out of our buildings and around our athletes for obvious reasons. So, but on a normal day, hopefully, this passes eventually, and then certainly get involved. within our athletic department. And we always try to help you guys out. Obviously, sport management, it's great to have it on campus. So Auburn actually didn't even have a sport management program on campus. So some of my best students were like engineers or anything. So you guys are in a great spot. I mean, you're right across the street. So just get involved and keep a lookout for those positions for sure. Because once it kind of blows over, we're going to need help.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, great question. Molly. Yeah, I mean, obviously these, great question. Obviously these are hard times, but just being there for our coaches and student athletes, again, obviously we're making lemonade and they're just as sick of hearing that as you all are, but just kind of rolling with it. I mean, this is one of those things, right? There's like nothing you can do. So just staying upbeat, being there for your coaches, checking in, the texts or calls like, hey, have a good practice. It's just not ideal and it's not the prettiest of things, but at the end of the day, like they're still with their athletes and they're doing what they love to do. And it just looks a little different. So for me, while there's no events, like we're still, buzzing around and refilling hand sanitizers and making sure our cleaning crews are hitting everything, all the high touch points. And they're still just different. It's just a different busy right now. But again, I love it. I come into work and just try to be there for our coaches and everyone at practice and spin through and just know that we're still there for them. And even though I'm in a mask, it's still, the same support system. So that's been really important. And, you see it just collaborating with our coaching staff and just getting a different bond of just like, well, this is it, like, let's just roll with it. So, but yeah, that's a great question. And I love being on a college campus. I think it's awesome. Like I eat lunch in the union. I'll just stand in line with all of you guys and it's just, it just keeps you young, go to Starbucks. So, which is way too close to my office. They know my order. Now they open the co-op bookstore, I guess. Yeah. Coaches are awesome. But they're all different. So the fun part of part of my job is kind of figuring out, what are the different touch points, what's really important to one coach, another coach might not even care, certain practice stuff or in game, like some coaches notice, if the anthem is 30 seconds, like off the wrong or too late or too early, like they know the script of the game or the intro video is 10 seconds behind. So you just kind of learn their personalities, what their needs are. But at the end of the day, like they just want to know that you're there for them and that you support them and that we're doing everything that we can on our end and our administration to make them successful, because you have to remember like their livelihoods and their success is based on winning or being successful in classroom and academics and what's your team doing, representing on and off the field and all that good stuff. So from our end, I love it. Like they're great. I think we have some of the best coaches in the country, and I've been at a couple of places in UConn. I mean, we have a lot of tenured coaches. Sometimes you don't see that, which I think is unique and just brings an awesome historical standpoint to UConn and our athletic program. But it's fun to learn all the ins and outs and kind of just be there for them and show up at practice. And again, it's just all support and stuff. So, which now more than ever is really important. Favorite game day memory. That's a good one. Oof. Like when something was good or went wrong. That's a good one too. Favorite game day memory. I'd probably have to say like my first, so my first event at Wake Forest as an intern, as like a student worker intern, they had football the same day as field hockey and there was a lightning delay. So I had to like figure out how to get everyone off the field hockey field, make an announcement to everybody to go back to their cars. And it was just absolute chaos. So that's when sometimes I say like the uncontrollables and you're just like sprinting in circles. But that was cool just to be there. But I think Auburn football, like when the eagle, they have this live eagle that goes from the top of one of their like spiral staircases and it flies, like you just get goosebumps. So that was like just, you talk about SEC and some of that stuff. It's just, yeah, from head to toe, you're just like, man, that was awesome. And then you like kind of like dial back in.
Kat, sorry to interrupt real quick, but going off of that, I imagine you worked in Iron Bowl when you were at Auburn, right? Is that just
yeah,
like,
but I didn't. The kick six, I missed it by like a year, so I wasn't there for the kick six. But Iron Bowl, yeah, I worked the Iron Bowl and went to Alabama, so like I kind of got both experiences. It was wild. That is like, yeah, it's really really cool.
bucket list type of deal for me?
It was unbelievable. Yeah, it's neat. I mean, it is crazy though, but those are some of the games where, I mean, the students are just like, they have like a 14,000 student section that's just like caged off. So you're just kind of like they're corralled in the end zone of the stadium, and there's like 14,000 of them, just students. So perspective it's pretty wild. But yeah, that Iron Bowl is really, really cool. And the biggest games are always like Thanksgiving weekend, so you get Thanksgiving off like every other year. But we have Friendsgiving, so I don't know if you guys do that, but yeah, great question. Yeah, you get a lot of game day memories. It's fun. Yeah, these are good questions.
Anyone else? Oh, there we go. There's one right here.
Particular sport. Yeah, so field hockey is a lot of fun to run here. It's outdoors. Sometimes, again, you kind of just pivot and run with it, but it gets cold. It's just you're bundled up, and we're very successful. Hosting NCAAs has been a lot of fun. You just have other schools here, and it's just like an awesome vibe. Some of the outdoor ones are a little more challenging in the Northeast just because it's freezing. But I think our field hockey program, that's been a lot of fun to work with. Baseballs, I mean, they're all unique in their own way. Obviously, people would automatically say like men's, women's basketball. But for me, I like to kind of run around. For basketball, like we're stuck at the scores table. So I can't move. So like we like interacting with the fans and, checking on people and doing laps. Like I always do like a lot of laps. Like I used to walk 12 miles at an Auburn game a day. So I'm just like stuck at the table at basketball. So sometimes, yeah, I'm courtside, which everybody would be like, yeah, that's sweet. But I like to check in with people, and you kind of like meet your fans, and you have your season ticket holders. So it's kind of fun that way. But sitting courtside for basketball isn't all that bad. So, but we have to get up for DV Sports. So that is my claim to fame when I'm always on TV, if there's ever a replay. So it's brutal. I pretend not to look, but that's the hardest part. Because you just you feel coach looking at you like, what's the call? Yeah, great question. Should I be reading these questions, or could everybody see them? Everyone can see them, right?
Yeah, but everyone can see them. So
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah, great question. Quality, I think just hard worker, showing up on time is super underrated, especially as a student. Like, again, I have sat where you're sitting right now. I've been in college. If you're in a shift, like, or, just show up on time and be professional. We've had to send kids home. They're just not in the best shape for an early game or meet or whatever. But just like a hard worker, personable, honestly, some of the littlest things go a long way for me personally. I always tell our guys all the time, like everybody wants to be involved and be at a basketball game, but like, for field hockey, they forget all the little stuff and they can't set out a cone right, or, you ask to do one thing and you're just like, all right, is it done? You're like, oh, I forgot. Just all the little details, you kind of just build on that. And then that's when, hey, like, you'd be a great year intern. Like, you did all the little stuff right as a student, and then you kind of guys get promoted within yourselves. And you guys are like your own network, so don't forget that either. Like, again, some people in my position, other places, kind of forget that they've sat where you sat. So, if you have a chance to just talk to people, or you guys are going to go off and do your own things, and you're going to be like, hey, remember Gage? And they're going to be like, yeah, like, you were a horrible student. Like, so you guys are going to be calling each other too, right? So I still keep in touch with all my grad school class. It's like all our GAs at Florida, we're still like best friends, and they're everywhere in the country working for athletic departments. So you just never know. But I definitely think like all the little details, again, showing up on time, just honestly doing what you're told and showing up professionally is just like huge for me. And then that's how you kind of like grow and, hey, do this instead. And then we kind of set people apart. And you can ask any of our interns too. They know the scoop. But yeah, it's a great question. Who has been your favorite memorable employee? Yeah, again, just I show up to game day and everything's just done. Like I'm like, hey, like, where's this? They're like, yeah, it's done. And you're just like, awesome. So again, just concentrating on all that little stuff. But that's a really good question. Yeah, we miss the students. We miss the students working around. So hopefully it's been just us. Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, I had a question. I know you've gotten a lot of stuff about like what you do and don't like about your job. So
Yeah.
I don't mean to keep asking you
No,
about that too much,
all good.
but specifically to like the operations and like events and facilities aspect of sports, like why do you think you enjoy that field more so than like other aspects of sports? Like what really stands out to you?
Yeah, great question. Ops and facilities, we're involved in a lot of different facets, like within the department, with our coaches, with other departments. So our whole holistic view is sometimes just like this, instead of like, okay, I'm, a different department or have to concentrate on this one thing. Like our scope is just huge. Like if anybody needs something or access or keys or something happens, or now that's good and bad, right? So everyone just looks at us. They're like, yeah, where is this? You're like, you didn't ask for that, but we'll go get it. So like that sometimes is a lot, but we just touch so many different areas, which I love, because we're also learning, again, in the beginning, it takes a village. So what's marketing doing? How do they operate? What's communications doing? What are the media doing? How do you help them be successful and cover our programs? And, we plexiglass their media section, like I was saying before. So, they a lot of people's needs are like, hey, figure it out. And they kind of look at us to do a lot of that, which again is good and bad, because then it's like ops, that's the famous, like, oh, well, ops, figure it out. But I love it. So you just learn to love it, but you're everywhere, touching a lot of different facets of campus, our teams, programs. So it's a lot of fun in that regard. You're just everywhere and you meet a lot of people. So great question.
Thank you.
I have a question as well.
Yes, sir.
Are there any positions for students that are primarily focused on the tech during a game day, or does that fall under ops?
Yeah. So when you say tech, like TV production or like graphics or like stuff you see on the video board, or like, what do you mean by tech?
I would say like the stuff you see like on the TV.
Yeah, like the video board in-game stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's like all of our video production department. So communications of them work very closely to like, there's always like a script for the game. So when the PA guy reads, this sponsorship goes up, which is then coordinated through the little LED boards. So everybody's on headset, making sure that each graphic is corresponding with the PA, corresponding with the right sponsor, depending on like their contract. So that gets a little complicated, but there's like students make all of those graphics, and then someone's conducting, like on the floor, they're holding the camera. A lot of our video students and all the tech people on the court, like ESPN also hires, which is huge for us and you guys, because one, ESPN's down the hill, like 45 minutes away. And I know they've spoke to you guys before, but so a lot of those guys will just like outsource and call our video department and be like, hey, who are your best students? So again, that goes back to, hey, you did all the little things right, and you were in the rain at football video shooting on the sideline and like 25 degrees, like, yo, Mark, like, come work this game, and that's just extra cash for you. So it all kind of blends together, but all the guys that you see on headset and cameras are all coordinating together. And now there's different video people for just football. So some of our students, again, going back to like, hey, you did a great job. Football calls me, hey, Kat, we need a football video guy. Like, oh yeah, one of my ops students is great. Like, he's into video. Let me give you his name. And then you're filming at practice and you're traveling, and then you get to travel. And again, it just goes back to like, who are those students? And because we all talk internally too, like marketing needs help or video but yeah, that's our video services department. And then we just, again, ESPN just outsources and asks, or Fox or whoever. But yeah, you can do it for a specific team. Like men's basketball and women's basketball have their own video people. Everyone else is just our video services department on campus. Yeah, good question.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, great questions, guys. These are good.
So, Kat, do you personally travel?
Go ahead.
Do you personally travel at any point, like whether it's for a tournament, or are you just pretty much based in stores?
I try to do one trip with the teams I'm responsible for once a year. But at UConn, I don't travel as much, just because, again, like just because basketball's out of town, we have 19 other programs that are still raring to go. So, but I try to or I'll drive up to Holy Cross when baseball plays there. But I'll try to do one trip with men's basketball away. Baseball, football, go on one trip. But yeah, a lot of the personnel that we were just talking about, I mean, they go away to with every team, hotel, the whole thing. So, and that's also fun. But everybody thinks like when you travel with a team, it's like, oh yeah, you're going to, I'll use UCF as an example because I went. They're like, oh man, you're going to Orlando? Like, okay, you're with the team, you go to the gym, you practice. You go to the hotel, you eat, and then you wake up super early, go to shoot around, go back to the hotel, eat lunch, and then you go to the game, and then you're on your charter. There's no – so, I mean, you're with the team and do all that, but and it's really fun just to be with them and the coaches, and that's a good time. But traveling, it's a lot. You see a lot of cool places, though.
Anybody else? These questions have been great, and
these are great questions.
Sticking around. So last call for any questions or comments. Last few minutes, if anything. Anyone else?
And you have my email address. If there's anything, Gage, I see you around everywhere. But if there's anything I could do to help, obviously, I always try to give back. And again, I've sat where you sat. So anything I could do to help. I know this is an ideal time. And I mean, I hope you guys hang in there. I know you guys have been cooped up as well, doing online class and all that. So when this kind of all hopefully lets up eventually, please let me know what I could do to help any of you, even if it's swinging in and just talking it out or any advice or whatever. So.
Well, Kat, we really appreciate it, especially it's a busy time, hectic time of year. So we appreciate your time, and we will make sure to ask you for those links so we can send them out to our members.
Yeah, definitely. And as soon as those come available, again, whenever that happens, I'll email you everything for any opportunities. But yeah, just hang in there for now. And as soon as we're in a position to post stuff, we will, and I'll let you know.
Sport management and pre-sport management is pretty good about posting that stuff too. They're usually in the digest as well. So if people are interested in
yeah, we've sent it to Burton and she posts it in your class or So I forget what the GA guy's name was, but he helps out too. One of your professors.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kat. We appreciate it, and we'll be sure to stay in touch.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, guys.
Thanks again, Kat. Have a great night.
Yeah, you guys too.
Thank you.
See y'all.
Thank you.